Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for coming tonight. What a great crowd. I'm Alex Kuhn, I'm the Executive Director of the Massillon Museum. How many of you are first-timers here? All right, yay. Well, we'll keep the galleries open, too, so that if you want to look around, we've got a great new show by Detroit area artist Sarah Blanchett upstairs. Canton Artist League has a great group exhibit downstairs. The second floor galleries are open, so we're just so thrilled to have you here. Before I formally introduce our speaker, I want to bring up one of the museum's members, longtime friends, volunteers, all around incredible ladies, Mary Jane Corwin, who's the brainchild of bringing everyone together tonight. Mary Jane?
I am just gobsmacked at how many people came this evening. This idea of putting this together just kind of came to me in February, and it just has kind of blown up into something even bigger than I imagined. My original idea was to have an exhibit here at the Massillon Museum and to have an exhibition which shows album covers as art. Now, they're a part of probably everyone's lives. We've seen them in our homes, and we picked out that first record that we really loved and adored, and we just, you know, it's a part of our history and our being, and music is the same thing. So this evening, basically, we talked about doing an exhibition next year because the museum's calendar is so far out about having the vinyl record exhibit. But then Alex said, well, we have this history happy hour, so why don't we have sort of an introductory little thing where we'll have someone come and speak, and we'll have Sam come and play vinyl records from Erie St Vinyl. And she has brought a lot of stuff that she's played, you know, for our enjoyment while we're listening. But I think the thing of it is about this is we want to see this grow in Massillon. We want to see Erie St Vinyl grow. We want to see the love of music grow. And this is just another factor in how people consume their music. So I am so excited. This is a big run-up to the exhibit, which will be next year, and that will be in September and October of next year. So we're going to be working on that. I am a member of the Vinyl Club at the Massillon Public Library. And we have some of our members over here, and we have grown substantially. I think maybe we started out with about 8 members, something like that. And our last meeting on Monday, we had 35 people. So we have our meetings on the 3rd Monday of the month, and we have presenters who talk about music, what they like, and it's always there's always something to learn. I'm a student of life and a lifelong learner, and I'm still learning about music that I didn't know about. Ska and other types of music that I maybe heard the word, but what it meant, I wasn't quite sure. So I've learned a lot, and we welcome you to come and visit us there as well. Alex will be here in just a second to introduce our speaker, but thank you all for coming. I am so very excited, and thank you for helping me give birth to this baby. I appreciate it. Thank you.
So before I introduce, thank you so much, Mary Jane. And we have, I believe, the Vinyl Club was the baby of someone else in this room, right? Sherry Brown, former director of the Massillon Public Library, had the seed of an idea, right, many years ago? So very exciting to partner with our good friends at Erie St Vinyl and Massillon Public Library. And thank you, as always, to the Ohio Arts Council, to Arts in Stark, and Visit Canton for their support of the Massillon Museum and helping admission remain free, as well as to the citizens of Massillon. So, tonight we have with us Heath, they told me, Gmucs. I'm sorry.
That's me.
Right?
Yes.
I had to ask how to pronounce his name. Heath Gmucs is the creator and owner of Wax Mage Records and production manager for Gotta Groove Records. He's going to talk about the record manufacturing process and the way the vinyl industry has grown and ebbed and flowed as well. Heath has not only played in local and touring Cleveland bands, but has also been in the manufacturing industry for over 20 years. His passion for music, creativity, and the desire to manufacture high-quality products all came together when he started working for Gotta Groove in 2010. So without further ado, love to introduce Heath.
Thanks. Hi there, I'm Heath. How many of you have ever been to a record pressing plant? How many of you know how a record gets from the recording studio to the vinyl that you would purchase? I'm gonna hopefully relieve some of the mystery that you have. I'm gonna do my best. Some of this stuff is still a mystery to me, even after 13 years in the vinyl industry. I started at Gotta Groove Records back in 2010. Gotta Groove Records opened in Cleveland, Ohio in 2009. Oh man, they told me what buttons to press. So, off we go. This is how we started. This is how I still am today. So I'm going to tell you about the process from beginning to end. One of the things I want to talk about that I was just talking to my friend about over here is that in 2008, there were probably, I want to say, I got it right here. It was 1.8 million vinyl records were pressed in 2008. In 2009, that went up to 33% to 2.5 million. We're currently in 2022, in the vinyl industry as a whole, they've pressed 41 million records, which has beaten the digital and CD sales. We're about 33 million. While we're kind of seeing a plateau right now between 2020 and 2022, I don't see it ending. So in the industry currently, like since 2020, I feel like people were locked in, musicians couldn't tour, they were at home, they were in their studios, they were creating, they were writing, they were recording, and then that's when the boom happened. So they started, our lead times, turnaround times started getting to be 9 months, 10 months, almost a year and a half in some cases, and then other record pressing plants started opening. Also in 2020, a catastrophic event happened with Apollo Masterdisc, and there were two lacquer providers in the industry. It was Apollo Masterdisc, and then another place in Japan is the only supplier of lacquer discs. You'll see how important that is to our industry as I go on. But that plant, Apollo, burned down. So, and it added to the turnaround times. It added to some of the things that have been going on in the industry. We're having paper shortages, we're having print shortages, we're having the lacquer shortage because there's only one supplier now of lacquers. So while other record pressing plants are opening up, when I first started pressing records in 2010, there were 28 record pressing plants worldwide. Currently, there's right around 40 record pressing plants just in the United States within those 2 years. So while it's great to have more record pressing plants, our turnaround time is still difficult because we don't have the infrastructure for it. We don't have a lacquer supplier. We need more plating plants. We need more vinyl masters. We need more lacquer cutters. So that's kind of the struggle that we're seeing right now. And while those things are coming up, it's probably going to be like another 5 years before we have the infrastructure for that. And a lot of folks feel like, is this a bubble? Is this going to burst? Are these plants going to open and then we're going to have like a 3-month turnaround time and then people are just going to be like, I don't care about vinyl anymore? We don't know. I don't feel like that's the case just because of the nostalgia that I have for it. So I grew up listening to vinyl. And there's something about a vinyl. So you look at a CD, like just a little CD, and while you have the artwork, you have the liner notes, you have everything there, it's this big. Like, we're not interacting with it. You can put it in, press play, and walk away from it. So with vinyl, you open you pull off the plastic, you take the record out, you're holding like a work of art. Like it's a thing like from front to back has been cared for and loved the whole way around. It's something that you interact with. You can't like put the record on and like start doing the dishes, because then you got to flip the record in 18 minutes. You know what I mean? So it's something that you interact with. Like, the art is big enough. You can read the art. You can look at the liner notes. You can see the plant that it came from. You can see all the people that worked on the record. So I feel like I don't feel like vinyl is a thing that's going to go away unless you're just tired of moving your records around, which is I'm getting close. So we'll start from the beginning. I'll show you how records are manufactured. And this is a question that we get a lot. So for a 33 1/3 record, for a 7-inch, which is odd, but some folks do it just to get the music on there. You can get probably about 6 minutes a side. For 45 RPM, it's 4.5 minutes per side. I feel like a 45 record with 4.5 minutes on it is like perfect. You're gonna get good tone, you're gonna get good volume, you're gonna get good quality record with that. For a 12-inch record at 33 1/3, 18 minutes is optimum. When you start pushing that, what you end up sacrificing is the volume that it's cut at, because there's only a certain amount of width between the grooves that you can have, the width and the depth. Once you start going past 18 minutes, which is the B-side of Fleetwood Mac's Greatest Hits, which causes us so much of a headache when we repress that, because it causes so many problems in the pressing plant with the volume, with the stitching and dishing and all of the other things that can happen that starts just in the lacquer cutting process. So 18 minutes is optimum. I'm about to personally put out a record on my label, Wax Mage Records, that is a single-sided 45 RPM 12-inch, because it can, and it'll sound pretty all right. But it's a local punk band called Show Pink, and they have like 8 songs that total about 14 minutes. So I think I'm gonna be okay there. But if you have any questions on how many minutes can you fit on a record, this is your answer according to all of the lacquer cutters all over the world. So lathe cutting a lacquer. So after the music is mixed and mastered, we have to master it for vinyl. There's a lot of peaks and valleys that the mastering will pull out so that it's easier for the lacquer cutter to cut. So this is one of the lathes. They're kind of old school. I don't know that anyone else is making lathes currently in the industry. So a lot of these are, like from the 50s, 60s, and like reworked so that they work again. This happens to be a lathe at Well Made Music, which Gotta Groove Records uses a lot. They're in Bristol, Virginia. Again, this is the lathe. It's like a record player on steroids. So what happens is the music gets mixed and mastered for vinyl, sent to the lacquer cutter, and on a 14-inch disc, which I have some examples of over here, if you'd like to see them later, they cut in real time the music onto the lacquer, and the lacquer is basically a 14-inch aluminum disc that has acetate on it, which is, I call it nail polish, basically is what it is. It's very soft, and I can melt it off with acetone if I want to. But they cut it in real time onto that lacquer, and that lacquer, after they're done cutting that, they can listen to it if they want, but I don't advise it. This is a 12-inch test acetate, which some artists get, so they can listen to their record before it gets plated. And that's like something special, and you got maybe 2 or 3 spins out of that, and then it's deteriorated. So it's something that you want to listen to once or twice, approve it, and then get moving on it. So after the lacquer cutter is done with it, they pack it up and very carefully ship it to the plating plant. So when the plating plant gets it, they pull that lacquer out and they immediately coat it with silver. And from that silver, they drop it into a bath that is an electromagnetic plating bath. And inside of that bath, they have chemical, I'm not sure the chemical makeup. This is where I get confused. They have chemical and nickel floating around in there, as well as electricity. So it's all charged. And once they drop that lacquer that's silvered into that bath, they grow a stamper. That's what they call it in the industry. They grow the stamper. I'm not sure how long that takes. I'm sure it takes a while. I'm still working on this stuff, y'all. But Gotta Groove just bought Nipro, which is an electromagnetic plating plant from California. We moved it to Columbus. We've been in operation for about 6 weeks now. So we're all still learning. It's called Gotta Groove electroplating. So like I have to take a trip down there and really figure out how this stuff works. So after they get the stamper plated, so master lacquer, metal master. I want to talk about the metal master because a lot of folks ask me about the master at this point, and we call it a father. So after the lacquer is plated in the bath, they peel those two pieces apart, and then you end up with a father, which is a mirror image or negative image. If you can, actually, I have a pointer. I just figured that out. Nope, I don't at all. Hold on. Where'd the pointer go? Is it this button? Nope, it's not that one. Is it this button? Got it. Yeah, technology. So you can see like here, the groove, that's the grooves is what they're showing you there. So this is something you can listen to. This is a raised groove, so a mirror negative image. With this father or metal master, they take that, drop it back in the bath, replate it, and they pull out a mother. And the mother you can listen to, you don't really want to, but you can. So from the mother, they can rip another probably 10 stampers from that. And these stampers here, and I have some on the table over there, is what we get at Gotta Groove. We load them inside of our press, and we start pressing records with those. So this is positive, negative record. So yeah. And that's how that goes. Exactly, yeah. So this is the pressing process. This is the part I'm fond of. This is the part that I love. So we get our stampers here. This is a Hamilton machine, and this is some raw material. So when we set stuff up in the Hamilton, we have a stamper. Oh shoot, I keep doing that. We have the A stamper. Nope, that's not what I want either. Lord help me. Is that it? Nope, I found the laser again. Maybe if I just do that. Nope. Okay, y'all. Bear with me. This is like the first time I did this.
This is what the raw vinyl looks like. It's like little beads.
This is what the raw show looks like too. Oh, Maroon. Let's see. Slideshow. Somebody with Hello Tech Help Custom Slideshow present online. From current slide. Let's go. All right. Thank you. So this is a Hamilton press. Let me find that laser again. There it is. These are the dies up here. So the B stamper goes on the top. The A stamper goes on the bottom, and we try to keep it that way just because it helps us in our process of like troubleshooting and stuff like that. This is the backside of the Hamilton. This is the hopper. We load the raw material in there. It gets heated up through this extruder at about 275 to 300 degrees or so. It makes a little biscuit, we call it, or some folks call it a puck. I have some over here if you'd like to see those. And then it gets taken up to the front of the press, which we saw here, and dropped on those dies and pressed at 1500 PSI for probably about 30 seconds or so. At Gotta Groove Records, we have 8 presses running 24 hours a day from Sunday at 9 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Fridays. So we're running 3 shifts 24/7. We're dropping a record about every 42 seconds on 8 presses. We're pressing right around anywhere between 6,500 and 8,500 records in a 24-hour cycle. Last year, Gotta Groove Records pressed 1.3 million records. Wow. It's insane. It's insane. I can't believe I run this stuff. It's crazy. Anyway, I'm so tired, you guys. So this is kind of a basic setup. This is for our 7-inch press. So this is the tack-off process. So we have alcohol and acetone that we use, that we wipe down the stamper. We wipe down the dies with the same thing. So we tack it off, set it in there, and put the retaining rings on. We do that for both sides, center pins and all kinds of stuff like that. This is the vinyl. I call it Baby Records. It takes about 180 grams of vinyl to make a 140-gram record, and right around 210 grams of vinyl to make 180 gram record because we need the excess, we need that flash so that the machine can cycle it through the entire process. So, shoot, hold on, here we go. God dang it. This is the button. So this is one of the hoppers. This is black material in that hopper that I showed you before. And these are the dies. So this carriage brings all this stuff forward. This is the hot material. The labels, this is a B label. This is the A label on the bottom, the A stamper and the B stamper up top. There's a record here in the trimmer table with the flash on it. That's that extra 40 grams that we need to get the record to carry through. There's in one machine, there's a record, there's 3 records in one process at a time in that 30 to 40 seconds of a cycle. So one of the things that, this is a trimmer, this is the stack. So everything drops on this stack. As you can imagine, there's not much tolerance for things being out of alignment. It's got to drop right on that stack pin. Those labels have to be perfectly aligned so that, you know, like there's no, like, I'm sure you've seen records if you're collecting that they have like the little, we call them horns, label horns, where you can see where the label, the center label is ripped at the center hole. So we try to minimize as much as we possibly can with stitching. Stitching is when you see a record and it looks like someone like went through the groove with a needle and thread. You'll see just like little hyphenated lines through it, and it sounds like a zipper when you run the needle across it. So we try to minimize all those things at the press. One of the things that sets us apart from all of the other record pressing plants in the world, I'm proud to say this, is our quality assurance department. So from that stack that you just saw, there's a person that comes out about every 20 minutes, picks that stack up, takes that stack back to their room, takes the first record off that stack and inspects that record visually, make sure that the labels are on the right side, that the matrices are correct for the job that we're running, and then puts the record on the turntable and begins listening to every 25th record at 45 RPM, no matter what the RPM is on the record. We listen to everything at 45 RPM because it's easier to pick out any sonic issues at that speed. And when you're doing that for 8 hours a day, I really don't know how they do it, honestly. When you're listening to that at 8 hours a day, you're not really even hearing the music anymore. You're just listening for a discrepancy. And I can tell you for a fact that some of the QAs are just like, I can't even listen to records anymore. Because they're like, all I hear is crap. I'm just like, oh no. So after they look at them, one of the things that they do while they're looking at them is they check the alignment. So we have a microscope and a very fine, you can't even see it with the naked eye when you're in the room, but like a little measuring thing on the top of this. And so we'll put the needle in the groove at the end and watch the sway on it. So our tolerance is 0.5 millimeters, which is not much at all. Usually when you get past 0.5 millimeters, you can hear like a wow. You can see the needle. I'm sure that you have records at home where you can see the needle kind of like wobble back and forth a little bit, kind of wave back and forth. So that's something that happens in the pressing process that can be avoided. So that's one of the things that we try to work out. After they've checked and made sure everything's okay, there's a QA person that goes through that stack of records, puts them on another stack. We separate the records with these lacquers, and if you come and see the lacquers, they're kind of beat up because we use them as spacers every 5 records or so to help the records stay flat while they're waiting to be packaged. And we do that because records aren't technically cured. The vinyl isn't technically cured for another 8 hours, even though you can pick up a record after a minute and a half and drop a needle on it and listen to it. We just try to keep everything flat. This is our assembly and packaging department at Gotta Groove Records. So again, here's our stacks. We have everything stacked up here. We try and keep them on the shelves as long as we can, but we're pretty confident in how we package them, that they can stay packaged and flat. So that's Rhonda. She's really happy to be here right now. But she's packaging our 180 gram records. Because the 180 gram records aren't 140 gram records, they can stay flat. They can be separated in stacks of 25. And a lot of folks are like, well, why are 180 gram records better than 140 gram records? And I think more or less it's for the longevity of the record. It's less prone to any warping, it's less prone to any dishing. Like if you can leave that in your attic or in your car, I don't advise it, longer than you could leave a 140 gram record if you wanted to. As far as sonics, I feel like at Gotta Groove Records, I feel like the sonics are about the same, but there's something to be said for like holding a 180 gram record and it just feels good. So I agree with you on that for sure. We do all of the processes. We go from, some folks just want their records sleeved, and then we ship them to them, and some folks want the whole 9 yards. So we just did a 40,000 piece double LP for Jason Isbell, and of course he got the whole 9 yards. It took us a few weeks to do that, but it was like sleeving, jacketing, inserts, download codes, shrink wrapping, boxing, and then getting shipped to like 3 or 4 different distributors and different stores. Target and Walmart are selling records now. I don't know if you know that, but they're doing it and we're shipping them there, right? I would prefer to go to Erie Street Vinyl to get my records. So. I think you're gonna find the best stuff there with high quality people, not just high quality vinyl. So after they get all that process done, we box them up, stage them on the dock, and then we ship them out. That's pretty much, this is our little shop. That's pretty much the whole process with making records. Does anybody have any questions? What's up?
The machinery that you showed us that you're using for pressing, is that older machinery, newer machinery? Where did it all come from?
So our machinery came from Sun Press. In 2008, they started buying these machines here, the Hamiltons. These machines are from the mid-'70s, and they really didn't work when we got them, and there was really no one to help us and no manuals. So we had a really smart guy named Dan Greathouse, who's still in the industry and helping folks get their presses running all over the world at this point. But he helped bring these machines up to speed. In our first month at Gotta Groove Records, it took us that month to press 100 passing records. And like I said, where we're at now, we're pressing, like 7,000 records in a 24-hour period. But at that time, it was hard learning. We were trying to figure stuff out from pieces, parts of manuals, and whatever we could find online, and just like, mechanical common sense. So these other presses that we have over here, these two down here are SMTs. They're from the mid-'80s. Again, same thing. We just acquired them in pieces, parts, and we had a lot of extra Frankenstein machines that we called them. And we would use those Frankenstein machines that were Hamiltons and SMTs to, get our machines up and running. This machine right here, and I have a second one that's not pictured on this side, and I should have taken a picture of it, but these machines are newer, made with old parts, but we've integrated like a PLC system with them, so you just kind of press go and they run. You feed them labels, you feed them material, and they continue to run. So yeah, those are our 8 machines at Gotta Groove Records. Go ahead.
In the 1950s, there were a number of 45 extent play records. How were they in those years able to get so much music on one side of a 45?
I'm curious because I'd like to hear one. You can put a ton of music on a 45 if you're doing it 33 1/3. I'm wondering if they did. Do you have any of those 45s? 33 1/3?
45.
Really? How many minutes are on there?
I mean, there's 3 or 4 songs on each side.
How long?
There were a number of songs. The Beatles did it.
Okay.
In the 60s. Elvis did it in the 50s. I mean, that was one of the marketing strategies with RCA was to, take 4 or 5 songs off my album and ship it out of, I think, 7th play.
On one single side?
That's correct.
Were they microgrooved?
I don't know anything about that. Y'all are teaching me something today. I love that. Yeah. We'll talk after that. I'm not sure how they did that. Yeah, no, educate me, please. I need everything that I can learn. Let me get this gentleman right here, and I'll get right to you.
Manufacturing presses Today?
Yes, there are two companies manufacturing presses. There's one in Canada, and they are making, they are called viral pressing. They're making the warm tone presses. I think Third Man Records has a couple of those presses, and there's another place in Austin for and it's slipping my mind right now, but I know the lady that runs the place. What's that? Gold Rush. Gold Rush has a few of those. Thank you very much. And I know I saw two in operation at a newer plant in Nashville when I was down there last May. And then there's another place, I think it's in Germany, they're making the new builts, which are like the fine builts that they used to make in the 30s, 40s, 50s, was it 30s, 40s? 40s, 50s, around there. And I think the plant in Germany is making the new builts, which all of Third Man Records is a new built. I'm not sure where they're making the Alpha 2Lex, is another newer machine, but it's kind of a hybrid of the new built as well. So it's like a shorter machine. One of the things that is different with those machines, and even these machines here, is that the work that I do, I can open this door right here and access those plates immediately. So I can interrupt those cycles and throw splatter in there. I can throw handmade records in there. I can throw any kind of hot vinyl I want inside of there. With the SMTs and these machines, the new builts, fine builts, warm tones are fully enclosed in plastic, so I have no access to anything except a hopper. But there are new machines being made. A lot of people are buying them. And I think they might start making the SMTs again, which would be great because they're workhorses. So, what was your question?
Oh, yeah, my question is, what is the process of the music recording being pressed into the vinyl? How does that come here?
So, music is mixed and mastered for vinyl. It gets cut onto a lacquer. This is the magical part with the that the lacquer cutter does. So they take that digital information, they run it through an oscilloscope that vibrates a sapphire-tipped needle. Let me go back to this machine. That's roughly 300 degrees or so. We go too far. I don't know what I did, y'all, but I'm not good at this. Oh, I remember okay, here we go. Hold on. So you can see here, this is more of a digital thing. It's not like the old school oscilloscope. Maybe that's close, I don't know. But it vibrates this needle that cuts the groove into a lacquer in real time. So it's kind of magic. You're just like, that thing that vibrates your eardrum is the thing that's vibrating that needle to create that music. If you look at grooves in a record, it literally looks like the Grand Canyon inside of there. It's pretty fascinating.
So if somebody's cutting a record, it has to be completely silent in the room other than what they're cutting?
Because you will get some crossover in that sound, in those vibrations, like you don't really want to move. You'll see a lot of lacquer cutters will have floating, you can't see it here, but a lot of them will have like floating floors that keep stuff from moving or bouncing or bumping. Sterling Sound, I went and visited in Nashville, has mastering and cutting there, and their setup is amazing. It's like an anti-gravitational floor that they have throughout the whole place. So you could do jumping jacks in the room, and it's like not gonna do anything. It's actually unreal. So if you get to go to Nashville, check out Sterling Sound. It's unbelievable. But yeah, so yeah, definitely, yeah.
I recently bought my daughter a Controlla record player here not too long ago.
Nice.
It has 78 capability on it too.
Yes.
So, which kind of surprised me. We use it as a backup for our vinyl night at the library, just in case somebody brings it a 78. Occasionally they do. Is there any anything on the horizon that we're not aware of with the 78? Because I noticed you didn't mention those, but I thought maybe they were still obsolete. Or
They're still obsolete, but
we have a lot At the library, we get for donations if anybody's looking for it.
Right on. I actually I found, while I was on a trip, I found a old, I think it's called a Corona. It's like a little box that you open up, has a record player in it, only plays 78s, but you crank it up and it goes. So I have one 78 RPM record. You'll find that a lot of the newer record players not only have the option for reverse, so if you want to listen to a record in reverse, you can. I don't know what you're going to bring on yourself, but you can listen to it. But the 78s, that has a 78 RPM option as well, which is pretty cool.
Do you think the one reason why vinyls made a comeback is because they stood the test of time? An example, a friend of mine, he's deceased now, he bought a 78 record from 1900 that had President William King speaking. And it was like 113 years old, and he played it on a 78 record, and it sounded fine. I'm not putting down CDs, but they haven't been around 120 years. You don't know. And I've had CDs you put in a car and they jam, or they skip. And I've had some albums 45, 50 years, and if you keep them in the sleeve and keep them out of the heat, they will play and they will play fine. So
I feel like, again, vinyl goes back to that nostalgia and just, like seeing it going from like a little tube to like a flat disc. You know what I mean? It's like, I feel like there's more of a history in that, and we consume so much so fast all the time, and I feel like records just kind of like bring everything back to like a more nostalgic, like calmer, like more engaged place. That's kind of how I feel about vinyl.
I remember showing somebody, they were about 30 years younger than me, and we were playing some songs, and I went to like the third song, and they went, "How do you know how to go there?" I mean, it's like they were. I said, "I'll show you." And I said, "See the little gap there between the songs?" I said, "That's 1, 2, 3. Oh, let me try it." They got a kick out of it. We grew up with it, and I didn't think of anything. But you think somebody young, they don't know. Maybe now they might, but they didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So back in the day, in like the 80s and such, there used to be 20 years ago. It's sad. It's very sad. But there used to be all this different kind of technology for vinyl. For example, a lot of the ones that used to go to radio stations had like YX2 and stuff like that. That was supposed to be quieter, better sound. I think I have like a Van Halen 1984 that was pressed for YX. And when you put it up to the light, you could actually see through it. Like it's slightly opaque, and it was supposed to be like pure vinyl to have better sound quality, etc. You don't see that anymore. Obviously, with all the technology, digital recording and all of that, a lot of that might have gone obsolete. But at the same time, at the end of the day, we're still pressing vinyl. It's still a physical medium. Has any of that, like, first of all, it wasn't a marketing gimmick. Maybe it was, I don't know. But have you run into anything like that in terms of the actual material affecting the sound quality?
Vinyl, the PVC itself is inherently noisy. In order to combat the noisy vinyl, it's important to have 18 minutes per side on your 12-inch record, and so that we don't have to sacrifice the volume. So when we start sacrificing volume on the vinyl, you're going to start hearing the noise floor that is natural and inherent to any kind of vinyl. Black, clear, colored vinyl, it all has a noise floor, no matter what it is. So that being said, I've not heard of that. It was probably a marketing gimmick. Message me so I can Google that stuff too. I continue to learn.
Right, like
Yeah.
these were literally the ones that the record labels will send to radio stations.
Right.
They were never sold. And
Yeah.
the only way to get it is obviously the secondary market.
Yeah.
But like, if you look for a sticker that says Quiet, I think is the word. It's
Quiet.
too.
Okay,
Yeah, like there's a few out there you can still find.
right on. I'll check it out for sure.
I have 2 copies and I can't tell the difference, but
Right? Yeah.
So is all your vinyl virgin vinyl, or is it recycled content, or is it?
Our 180 gram vinyl is virgin vinyl. Right out of the bag, right into the hopper, right onto the record. Most record pressing plants do this is they mix it, their regrind vinyl 50-50 with virgin vinyl. Vinyl is so expensive in its virgin form. So most plants will regrind that flash that gets trimmed off the side of the records. They regrind it and repurpose it into another record. It's pretty much the most normal thing to do. The only time we don't do that is when a customer is like, I want all virgin vinyl for this. We try to do the same with our colors that we regrind. Wax Mage exists because we recycle color vinyl, and that's how I got my start making these wild looking records, is like, how else can I recycle this instead of just putting it in the hopper? Like, how can I manipulate this vinyl? So for the most part, vinyl is mixed 50-50 for pretty much every color, and I don't hear a sonic difference between 100% regrind and 100% virgin material, personally.
So how do you do a promo?
I'm not allowed to tell you. I put stuff on the. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's the proprietary part where I'm not allowed to talk about. I'm so sorry.
Is there a logic to what songs are placed at the beginning, outside, and because it always seems like the faster songs be at the end of the side, or maybe it's, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Actually, we prefer to have like a louder song at the lead-in. Those are, for us, are those are the hardest grooves to fill, because when that puck comes out, it comes out this big for a 12-inch record, and then we need to make sure that those dies are heated. That puck is dropped in the center here, and we have to get that vinyl hot and push it all the way out to here. So if you have a louder song at the beginning and hotter vinyl, you're gonna have a better sound. And it's best to have a quieter sound as your last track, because those grooves are the easiest to fill.
So do you kind of like negotiate with the artist to say?
It's up to them. Yeah, and if they want to have a quiet song first, we make it work. Yeah, that's all a part of what we call the dial-in.
Do you print and manufacture the covers as well, or where does that come from?
We don't. We use a company out of Canada and another company in California called Dorado Packaging for our jackets, and we use another company to print our labels. We do cut our own labels though. We have a label department, so they just send them to us in sheets, and then we cut them out, and then we drill out the center of those. So we do not do print at our shop, no. Okay.
Do you know what the frequency range is you get in the vinyl?
The
frequency range of the music from what to what you put in the vinyl?
I don't. I'm not sure the frequency range. That would be.
I always heard it had to be compressed. It on vinyl, because if it was full 20,000, the needle would just generate so much heat that it would just melt your record.
Man, I got to research that. So we're going to talk later. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I really do. I know. This is what I love. This is the second time I've ever done anything like this, and the first time was a bunch of people who didn't know anything, and you guys obviously know way more than I do. So this is great. So yeah, please.
I also heard in the classical world that they would like to start their symphony in 3 parts with a loud section first to get people's attention.
Yeah.
And then you went to the quiet second movement.
There you go. Yeah.
And I think a lot of records, rock and roll, do start off pretty loud.
Yeah.
It's pretty rare when somebody's willing to come in and build mellow. But it does happen.
Yeah.
It's easier with CD.
Are you pressing old songs? And if you are, what kind of licensing issues do you have with that?
We do press. When I say older stuff, 70s, 80s, and it's not that old. It's not that old. But most of those songs are coming from like Warner Brothers or Sony or Red Eye Distribution. When somebody does a cover song, there are channels that we go through for mechanical rights just to put that out. And it has to be like approved either by the label or by the artist. But it's usually not very complicated to get mechanical rights to press a record.
So do they, like you said, it comes from different record companies, do they send you that stamping and then you have to send it back to them, or how does that work? When you press the record, you have to.
So we are kind of a one-stop shop. If you order a record through Gotta Groove Records, we'll send it off to mastering is included in that, cutting is included in that, electromagnetic plating. Yeah, we'll do all that stuff is included in the price of pressing. Yeah.
Thanks, Heath, for doing this. As vinyl types, I always have crazy questions.
Yeah, no, I love it. I love it.
People not think or conjure up, but are you familiar with the flexi disc?
I am familiar, not intimately though.
Okay. I was wondering if you were getting out with the boom and vinyl, any like magazines like Rolling Stone or Mad.
I remember those.
Geographic used to put them in
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Actually, those things started out as Soviet propaganda tools.
Yeah, with the X-rays and stuff like that. Yeah.
So then they finally came full circle.
Yeah.
And then they got to the way of the United States. So I thought with this boom, I thought, it'd be cool, Rolling Stone.
Wouldn't it be really cool if they brought back the flexi disc? I have no idea how they make them, but now I got even more. Y'all gave me so much homework. Oh man. What was your question?
I gave a presentation in a vinyl club about record players being in cars in the 1940s. Well, Lexus did it in 2021. I don't know how many record players they put in any cars for anybody, but has anybody approached you about pressing records for a record player in a car?
I mean, I would press a record for anybody. But, I mean, how? More research. Thank you. Yeah. They must have good shocks.
Did you know there were record players in cars at one time?
I did know that they were record players in cars at one time, but I can't.
Well, I think it's a whole new market for you, Pete.
Okay, done deal. I'm on it.
For us diehards, we gotta have our records in the car.
You just briefly touched on X-rays.
Yes.
How did they do that?
Bro, I have no freaking idea. I really don't. There's a podcast that I love to listen to called Women in Vinyl, and they interview. Yes, there you go. They talk to people throughout the industry, but one of their podcasts that they have is from a gentleman who is like an aficionado, like connoisseur, collector of all of those old Russian and German X-ray records, and he can give you listening to that podcast was like one of my favorite things. I can't remember a darn thing about it right now, so I'm gonna listen again for homework. But absolutely, Women in Vinyl, the X-Ray podcast, you'll absolutely love it. Yeah, amazing, informational, front to back.
And just for him, real quick, the X-ray thing, literally the X-rays are thick, it's like photographic film, it's thicker. So there's a thick enough emulsion on top that's just thick enough that you can cut a groove. And make records. The problem is, it's like the whatever, I forgot the name of it, yeah, it's wrong. Like
you don't get a lot of plays out of
play
it.
it too often because it's
I don't mind at all, yeah.
like a photographic film, it deteriorates. So you only got a few plays out of it. But like collectors will have ones with literally like a picture of a bone, a broken bone or whatever, but you can still play the thing from the Soviet era. That was the black market. So yeah, it's literally it's imagine just a big sheet of photographic film, but melted just enough that you can press.
Nice.
Pretty cool, but it doesn't sound good. But that was the only way they.
But it's an X-ray.
Will you talk to us and show us about your process for making this beautiful colored vinyl that you made? I think Sam is showing it to.
Yeah. So.
Tell us, explain that.
I can't tell you exactly the process in which I do it, but I can tell you that it's. I started pressing vinyl, working on machines in 2010, and I was doing the standard half and half records that like half black and half clear records. And I was doing the standard splatter records, The way I was putting the vinyl inside the press, I was just like, well, what if I did this? And my wheels started spinning. So I'm just a manufacturing blue-collar worker, dirty punk musician, like always have been that. And I ended up at this record pressing plant, and I started getting ideas on like how can I use this vinyl that's occasionally being thrown away? How can I recycle this in a different way? So I created something different in the industry. Some folks have called me an artist. Some folks have called me a pioneer in this colored vinyl industry. I still call myself a press operator, but it's something unique. It's something that other record pressing plants are now starting to evolve in their own shops, which also inspires me that I get to see other people's work. The way that they're interpreting my work inspires me to create even more. So I think there's been collectability in that. So a lot of these pressings are super limited, super unique. Most of the ones are limited to 25 records, even if it's a 5,000 piece run. Some of them I don't get to see out in the wild ever because it just goes right to the artist or to the record label or to wherever. I've been able to do some pretty cool stuff for movie soundtracks and stuff like that. I did one for Trolls. I did one for
That one record going around has razor blades.
oh yeah, the razor blades, yeah. I actually got, because we were having a problem sourcing our actual molds. My boss was like, you have to not press metal in the records for a while. So I got banned from pressing metal in the razor blades and weird stuff that I do like that could potentially, I'd never damage the dies doing that, but he didn't want to take any chances, and I respect that. So it's probably been a couple of years since I pressed any metal inside of a record, but
all playable records?
all playable records, yes sir. Yep. Yeah. It's a trip. It's a trip.
Well, they got those, they have the records now that's clear with liquid.
Yes.
It came out recently, someone else.
Chris Banta at Romanist Records. And then there's also another fella, his name is Matt Ort at Plastic Hat Deviations. I've worked with both of those guys. I've pressed records for them in order to liquid fill. So the liquid fill records are pretty cool because it takes 2 records to make 1 record. And they use an RTV to seal it and then inject whatever they're injecting inside of there. Oh yeah, that's a 280 gram record. You don't want to play that very often. That's gonna stress your turntable and your needle out. But man, are they cool to look at? Yeah. Laura Jane Grace was one of them. I pressed a record for Laura Jane Grace, and then she actually came to the pressing plant with another buddy of mine from another band that I love called A Giant Dog. And they hung out for a little while. And then Jonathan Richmond was another one. I actually got to meet him as well. Actually did some studio time with him while he was in town. He's friends with a couple of folks at Blue Arrow Records who put out his work a lot. And man, there's so many. I really dig Lori McKenna, and we do a lot of her work at the shop. Lori McKenna, it's like folk Americana type of stuff. No, it's more just like folk Americana, good songwriting. There are a lot of artists when we're pressing their job, they request that we shoot some video for them for that. There are some artists, right now we're pressing, escaping me, it's on press right now, Peter Frampton, and there was a guy that came in with a whole video thing that, I'm not sure. Oh, I didn't see him at the shop, so he did not come in, but there was a videographer that came in and was like shooting his record being pressed, so that was pretty cool.
So back in the day, they used to have bootlegs and cutouts. What made that a bootleg or cutout? I mean, I know they're not made specifically.
They're totally illegal. I think there was a record pressing plant, Brooklyn Phono maybe, that got shut down because they were bootlegging a lot of records. A couple of record pressing plants are, just they have extra stampers. They're like, I'll just repress this again and sell it on the DL. So, yeah, that's not, you're not allowed to do that. Yeah. No. No, there's no way to get a skip out. There's no way to get it out. Sorry. 50 cents instead of 4 cents?
Major record companies, they do it in-house and they always outsource making of the record.
Like a major record company?
Yeah, like Capitol, they do it in-house and produce it in there, or do they send out to people like you?
There are, I'm not sure if like, I know that we're about to get a bunch of work from Warner Brothers, but I also know that they have other record pressing plants that they work with.
Do you think they're realizing that vinyl's coming back?
I think they've absolutely realized that. And I know, who would they blame? Adele for that jam up in 2020? It wasn't her fault, man. It really wasn't. But I just thought it was amusing, but yeah.
So when you were sourcing the equipment to press, because the vinyl industry was making a comeback, did the market go way up on that, on pressing equipment and record making equipment?
Yeah, it did.
Nobody had been manufacturing it for years, right?
And also, it was really difficult to find. It was difficult to find parts. It was difficult to find. We started fabricating a lot of as much of our stuff as we could. There were still places to go to, but it was like a monopoly because no one else was doing it. So of course the prices went up. That's just the nature of capitalism. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Once a record divorce, maybe from being in the sun or whatever reason, any way to cure that?
There are steps you can take to maybe try to. One of those steps is getting 2 panes of glass, putting it in between the 2 panes of glass, and setting it outside in the sun for maybe 5 minutes or 10 minutes, taking it back inside, leaving it in the pane of glass to cool off, and then pulling it and checking it. But that's like really it. Do not put vinyl in your oven, ever. There's some, especially the old stuff is lead based, so if you heat that up, you're about to coat everything you cook after that in lead. So just so you know. Yeah. Yes, sir.
Is there any process you recommend to clean vinyl records that they're heavily coated with, like, say, nicotine smoke?
Yeah, she knows that part.
It's glue gun in a very tiny quantity. The best way to clean your records is with a spray bottle with clean water from like the soap water, 1 drop of Dawn liquid to your spray bottle. You have to use a high quality paper towel, like Bounty, not like Bounty spokesperson, but tough stuff, a little bit of glue gun, really tough stuff, lighter fluid. Takes it right off, like if it was gum or old sticky fried chicken finger.
That'll get your beer off.
Have you ever used a record cleaning machine?
They work. It's by hand's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Unless you have big quantity of records, like a lot of money to count, you know that you need the machine.
You were talking about the place of burning some of the raw materials, and now there's is there any plans to get another one now that it's making a boom?
No.
Still not financially
No. The process is so difficult, and I don't even know. I don't even know if another. Honestly, it'd be great to see that plant expanded in the United States. Right now, actually, Got a Groove acquiring Nipro plating. We also acquired the distribution deal with that company in Japan. So we're now the only lacquer distributor in the United States, which is pretty cool. So, yeah. Maybe we'll open a plane, who knows? Cool. You guys want to grab a beer and hang out and listen to some music?
I want to thank everybody for asking these such amazing questions. And that's what this was intended to be, an exchange of thoughts and ideas. We learned from him. I think maybe he's learned a couple things here.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
And you'll stay to answer
Oh, for sure.
questions that
Yeah.
might have other questions. But
Yeah,
in the
for sure.
meantime, have another drink. We're going to spin records. There's a little bit of a dance floor up here.
Yeah.
I also want to say thank you, Mary Jane. Thank you, Alex. Thank you, Mandy. Thank you, Sam, and everyone for having me here and for listening. And I'm sticking around, man. Let's party.